In the lead-up to his second inauguration, President-elect Donald Trump has hinted at a significant decision regarding the popular social media platform TikTok, stating he will most likely grant a 90-day extension to the app's impending ban in the United States. Speaking in an exclusive interview with NBC News, Trump indicated that he is considering this reprieve after the current deadline for TikTok's China-based parent company ByteDance to divest its U.S. operations expires on Sunday. "I think that would be certainly an option that we look at. The 90-day extension is something that will be most likely done because it's appropriate," Trump noted, emphasizing the complexities surrounding the matter and the need for careful consideration. While no final decision has been made, Trump indicated that an announcement could come as soon as Monday, when he officially assumes the presidency. The urgency surrounding TikTok's fate has escalated in the final days of the Biden administration. Previously, President Joe Biden signed a law requiring ByteDance to sell its U.S. operations or face a nationwide ban. However, his administration has signaled it would not enforce this law, leaving the responsibility to the incoming Trump administration. TikTok has stated that it plans to go dark unless it receives clearer assurances regarding its operational status. The White House, however, dismissed TikTok's threats as a stunt, reiterating that the incoming administration would handle any legal ramifications. The bipartisan law allows the president to grant a one-time 90-day extension if he can certify to Congress that there is a clear path to divestiture and significant progress has been made. As of now, no binding agreements for such a sale have been made public, raising questions about the feasibility of compliance with the law and the short time frame remaining. This situation marks a notable turnaround from Trump's earlier stance on TikTok during his first term, when he attempted to ban the app outright. His recent comments suggest a more favorable position, likely influenced by his interactions with American investors tied to TikTok. Beyond TikTok, Trump is poised to begin his presidency with a series of aggressive executive actions. He has already indicated plans for mass deportations of undocumented immigrants, targeting individuals with criminal records in a significant enforcement operation, starting on his first day in office. His administration's border czar Tom Homan has suggested that Chicago could be among the first cities targeted in these raids, which are expected to be more focused and strategically planned compared to past operations. Trump's return to Washington, marked by celebrations at his golf club in Virginia, comes at a time when the nation is bracing for his inauguration amid frigid winter temperatures, which have necessitated a shift of the ceremony indoors, a rare occurrence since President Reagan's second inauguration in 1985. As Trump prepares to take center stage, his administration's plans are likely to shape not only the future of TikTok, but also the broader landscape of immigration policy in the U.S. With his new administration gearing up for a flurry of activity, the implications of these decisions will resonate well beyond the immediate political landscape, affecting millions of TikTok users and undocumented immigrants alike. As the nation watches closely, it remains to be seen how Trump will balance the demands of his supporters with the pressing issues of technology governance and immigration reform in the coming days, in a rapidly evolving digital landscape. The fate of TikTok hangs in the balance as President-elect Donald Trump prepares to take office. In an exclusive phone interview with NBC News, Trump indicated he is likely to grant a 90-day reprieve to the popular social media app, which is facing a potential ban in the United States due to its ownership by the China-based company ByteDance. This decision comes just as the Biden administration's deadline for TikTok to divest is set to expire, leaving millions of users and stakeholders anxiously awaiting the outcome. Trump's remarks came on January 18, 2025, where he expressed that a 90-day extension would be a viable option to consider, emphasizing the need for a careful review of the situation. "I think that would be certainly an option that we look at. The 90-day extension is something that will be most likely done because it's appropriate. It's appropriate. We have to look at it carefully. "It's a very big situation," he stated. An official announcement regarding the extension is expected following his inauguration on January 20th. The origins of the impending ban trace back to a bipartisan law enacted under the Biden administration, which mandates that TikTok's parent company sell its U.S. operations to a non-Chinese entity or face a nationwide prohibition. The law was crafted due to concerns that the Chinese government could exploit TikTok's vast user data for surveillance or propaganda, despite no substantiated evidence of such activities to date. The Supreme Court recently upheld this law, leaving TikTok with limited options. As the clock ticks down to the deadline, TikTok has warned it may go dark on January 19 unless it receives clarity and assurance regarding its legal standing. The company has pointed out that failure to comply with the law could result in severe penalties for third-party service providers, potentially leading to financial losses in the billions. In response, White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre dismissed TikTok's threat as a stunt, reiterating that the enforcement of the law will fall to the incoming administration. The dynamic surrounding TikTok is not only a matter of corporate strategy, but also one of free speech and digital rights. Critics argue that the law undermines the United States' credibility in championing free expression globally, marking a significant shift in the relationship between government and social media platforms. TikTok previously challenged the law on free speech grounds, but was ultimately unsuccessful in court. Adding to the ongoing drama, Trump's approach to TikTok represents a notable departure from his previous administration, during which he attempted to ban the app entirely. This reversal comes after Trump's engagement with various stakeholders, including American investors who have shown interest in TikTok's future in the U.S. market. However, the challenge remains as no binding agreements for a sale have been publicly disclosed, and experts suggest that any potential buyer would need to make a significant financial commitment. The uncertainty surrounding TikTok's fate is compounded by broader social and political dynamics as Trump prepares for his second term in office. His inaugural events are set to take place indoors due to a severe cold snap in Washington, D.C., marking the first time in 4 decades that an inauguration has moved inside. Amidst the festivities, Trump has signaled plans for sweeping executive actions on immigration and other policy areas on his first day back in office, further establishing a contentious backdrop for his administration. As Trump steps back into the Oval Office, the implications of his decisions regarding TikTok and other tech platforms will reverberate throughout the industry and among millions of users. The forthcoming days will not only determine the immediate future of TikTok, but may also set a precedent for how the U.S. government interacts with digital platforms in an increasingly polarized political landscape. With a focus on unity, strength, and fairness as outlined by Trump, it remains to be seen how these values will translate into action as the administration embarks on its new chapter. As the countdown to Donald Trump's second inauguration approaches, the future of TikTok hangs in the balance. In an exclusive phone interview with NBC News, Trump revealed that he is most likely to grant the popular social media app a 90-day extension to avert a potential ban. This announcement comes as TikTok's parent company ByteDance faces a Sunday deadline to divest its U.S. operations to a non-Chinese buyer, or risk being banned in the United States. "I think that would be certainly an option that we look at," Trump stated, indicating that the extension is a necessary step as the situation is very big. He plans to announce his decision on Monday, the day he takes office. However, even if the extension is granted, it may not be enough to prevent TikTok from going dark for at least a day as the current compliance deadline looms. The TikTok saga has been a contentious issue throughout the Biden administration, which has indicated it would not enforce the law mandating ByteDance's divestiture. TikTok's leadership expressed concern that the lack of clarity from the current administration could lead to a shutdown of the app, which serves over 170 million users in the US, unless the Biden administration immediately provides a definitive statement to satisfy the most critical service providers, assuring non-enforcement. Unfortunately, TikTok will be forced to go dark, the company warned. The Biden administration has characterized TikTok's warnings of a shutdown as a stunt, insisting that the responsibility to act will fall to Trump's incoming administration. The law requiring the sale of TikTok was signed by President Biden last year, but enforcement has been delayed. If Trump decides to extend the deadline, it will be the first major policy reversal since his first term, during which he attempted to ban TikTok altogether. Trump's change of heart is notable, especially considering his earlier efforts to impose restrictions on Chinese apps, citing national security concerns. The app's potential ties to the Chinese government and its data collection practices have raised alarms among lawmakers, who argue that foreign control over a significant media platform poses risks for American citizens. As Trump prepares to take office amidst protests and rallies against his policies, the atmosphere in Washington is charged. Thousands rallied on Saturday in the Capitol, echoing sentiments from the original Women's March that coincided with his first inauguration. Protesters voiced concerns over reproductive rights, immigration, and climate change, issues they perceive as threatened by Trump's policies. Jill Parrish, a marcher from Texas, encapsulated the mood, stating, "I'm here to demonstrate my fear about the state of our democracy." While the crowd for this event was smaller than anticipated, reflecting a sense of exhaustion and disappointment among progressives, the organizers aimed to broaden the coalition under a new banner, the People's March, promoting various social justice issues beyond just opposition to Trump. As the inauguration approaches, the intersection of technology policy and social movements highlights a pivotal moment in American governance. The future of TikTok remains uncertain, but as Trump navigates his second term, it will likely be a focal point in the broader dialogue surrounding technology and national security. The decisions made in the coming days will not only impact a popular social media platform, but could also set the tone for U.S.-China relations and the regulatory landscape for technology companies in the years to come. As Donald Trump prepares to take office for a second term on January 20, 2025, the political landscape in the United States is polarized. For his supporters, Trump's return symbolizes a renewed hope for conservative values and policies. Conversely, many others express a deep-seated fear that his administration may usher in a period characterized by divisiveness and instability. The implications of this transition extend far beyond domestic politics. The economic landscape, particularly concerning international trade and relations, stands at a crucial juncture. Trump's anticipated economic policies are drawing considerable attention, especially regarding China, with whom he has had a tumultuous relationship marked by tariffs and trade wars during his first term. Analysts predict that Trump is likely to impose tariffs as high as 60% on Chinese imports, a move he cites as a necessary measure to combat the flow of fentanyl from China to the U.S. While the specifics of his China strategy remain unclear, it is evident that both countries are bracing for a challenging economic climate. China's economy has undergone significant changes since Trump first took office in 2017. Back then, GDP growth was officially reported at 6.7%. However, by 2024, growth had slowed to approximately 5%, reflecting a broader trend of economic deceleration. Some experts, such as those at Rhodium Group, suggest that the real growth figures may be even lower, with estimates around 2.4%. This decline can largely be attributed to a combination of a cooling housing market, ongoing trade tensions, and shifting global demand patterns. China's trade surplus, which reached a record $1 trillion last year, illustrates the complex dynamics at play. Despite the trade war, China has managed to increase its exports significantly. A surge in trade with Southeast Asia suggests that many companies are restructuring their supply chains to circumvent U.S. tariffs, highlighting the intricate interdependencies of global commerce. Brad Setzer, a senior fellow at the Council on Foreign Relations, noted, "A lot of what is called trade with the Global South is basically trade with the U.S. structured in a way to get around tariffs." This reality underscores the challenges of isolating a nation from the global economy. The real estate sector, historically a cornerstone of China's growth, has faced severe headwinds. Government initiatives such as the Three Red Lines policy aimed at cooling overheated markets have led to a significant contraction in property development. This shift has left millions of pre-sold apartments uncompleted and has sparked widespread public discontent. The government's attempts to pivot the economy towards technology and innovation are evident, but the transition has not been smooth. Investment in real estate remains about 25% lower than its peak in June 2021. Moreover, the aftermath of China's stringent zero-COVID policies has left lingering concerns about consumer confidence. A recent survey indicated that only 10% of respondents felt optimistic about the employment situation, a stark contrast to the 16% recorded in 2018. Experts like Logan Wright from Rhodium emphasized that the slowdown in China's economy is not merely cyclical, but structural, marking the end of an investment-driven growth model. Amid these challenges, there are bright spots. The growth of green technologies has been notable, with industries like electric vehicles and solar power experiencing a boom driven by both government support and an abundance of resources. In 2023, investments in these sectors accounted for 40% of GDP growth, a trend expected to continue into 2024. As Trump embarks on his second term, the stakes are high, not only for the U.S. but for the global economy at large. It remains to be seen how his administration will navigate the complex landscape shaped by previous policies and current economic realities. The interplay between U.S. and Chinese economic strategies will likely become a focal point in international relations, with repercussions that could resonate well beyond the immediate future. As both nations prepare for the challenges ahead, the world watches closely, bracing for a new chapter in global economic dynamics, in a world increasingly marked by geopolitical tensions. The U.S.-China relationship stands at the forefront of international discourse. As the Biden administration continues to navigate this complex landscape, Jake Sullivan, the White House National Security Advisor, has emerged as a pivotal figure in crafting policies aimed at countering China's growing influence. In a recent conversation, Sullivan outlined the administration's strategic vision and the lessons learned during his tenure, underscoring the challenges and opportunities that lie ahead. Sullivan's remarks come at a time when the Biden administration is keenly aware of China's ambitions to displace U.S. preeminence on the global stage. "We see China as the one nation with both the intent and capability to challenge American primacy," he stated, emphasizing a nuanced approach that seeks not only to compete but also to engage. Reflecting on the previous Trump administration's methods, he noted a significant shift in strategy. "We've moved from a hub-and-spoke model of alliances to creating a latticework of relationships across the region. Central to this strategy is the rejuvenation of partnerships with key allies, particularly through the Quad coalition involving Australia, India, and Japan." The Biden administration has also forged new security arrangements with Japan and South Korea, as well as with Australia and Britain, aiming to create a more cohesive and coordinated front against common threats. Sullivan acknowledged the groundwork laid by the Trump administration regarding semiconductor manufacturing and export controls. However, he criticized the lack of a systematic strategy, stating, "They were pointing in the right direction, but there was no real systematic undertaking." Under Biden, efforts have intensified to bolster America's defense industrial base, a necessary response to vulnerabilities exposed by the COVID-19 pandemic. "We felt a huge gap in our defense industrial base," he remarked, outlining a commitment to invest in critical supply chains. A cornerstone of the current policy is the administration's focus on technology competition with China, particularly in the semiconductor sector and artificial intelligence. Sullivan explained that recent export controls have effectively constrained China's access to advanced technologies, creating a ceiling on their capabilities. He refuted claims that such restrictions might propel China's innovation, asserting our semiconductor export controls were a reaction to China's very overtly stated policy to indigenize their semiconductor manufacturing capability. The conversation also touched on the delicate balancing act the U.S. must perform with nations that seek to engage with both the U.S. and China. Sullivan emphasized the importance of maintaining America's leadership in advanced technology, stating, "We need to ensure that a sufficient amount of AI compute capacity is built in the United States. This necessity is coupled with the recognition that partnerships must be fortified with robust security measures to prevent technology leakage to China." On trade agreements, Sullivan noted a growing trend toward bespoke negotiations that cater to the specific needs of individual countries. He provided examples of how nations like Japan and Indonesia prioritize critical minerals agreements over broader trade deals, reflecting a shift in the global economic landscape. Countries are looking for more than just market access. They want to ensure their economic models are sustainable, he explained. Sullivan's insights into his meetings with Chinese leaders shed further light on the evolving relationship. He identified a mutual recognition of managed competition as a framework for engaging with China. "We are competing vigorously. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't find areas to work together," he asserted, highlighting ongoing dialogue on issues such as climate change and nuclear risk. As the Biden administration continues to refine its approach to China, the implications of its policies will resonate globally. Sullivan's emphasis on collaboration amid competition suggests a strategic pivot that could reshape international relations in the coming years. The relationship has evolved over 4 years to one of managed competition, he concluded, signaling a cautious optimism about the U.S.-China dynamic. Looking ahead, the Biden administration's ability to maintain this balance will be crucial. As the geopolitical landscape shifts, fostering resilient partnerships while safeguarding national interests will remain a top priority. With China's ambitions unabated, the stakes are high. And the path forward will require deft diplomacy and strategic foresight. As Donald Trump prepares to take office for a second term, the geopolitical landscape he inherits is fraught with challenges and opportunities, particularly regarding Ukraine, Iran, China, and the Middle East. The incoming administration faces the daunting task of navigating a complex web of international relations while managing internal policy dynamics that could significantly impact its diplomatic effectiveness. In the wake of President Biden's tenure, which many have characterized as a period where America's adversaries struggled and its allies gained ground, Trump's team views itself as inheriting a strategic advantage. Biden officials have argued that the current state of affairs presents Trump with a chance to consolidate gains made through diplomatic efforts, particularly in Ukraine, where Russia is beleaguered, and Iran, which is perceived as weakened. However, this perspective comes with significant caveats. The situation in Ukraine remains precarious, with Trump's special envoy for the region, Keith Kellogg, suggesting a timeline of 100 days for a potential resolution to the ongoing conflict. Despite Trump's claims of achieving a deal in 24 hours, the reality is more nuanced. Both Trump and Kellogg must contend with the complex dynamics of a conflict that has already cost Russia substantial military and civilian losses. Any resolution will likely need to balance maintaining Ukrainian sovereignty with Russia's territorial ambitions, a task that may prove more challenging than anticipated. In Iran, the landscape is similarly complicated. With the regime facing unprecedented internal strife and external pressures including the looming threat of military action from Israel and the US, there are calls for Trump to revive his maximum pressure strategy. Critics warn, however, that engaging in diplomatic overtures could empower a regime that has long operated as a state sponsor of terrorism. As Irfan Fard articulates, the focus should pivot towards supporting the Iranian populace in their quest for freedom rather than legitimizing the current regime through negotiations. The potential for a domestic uprising presents a unique opportunity for change, but it hinges on U.S. support and strategic pressure against Tehran. Meanwhile, Trump's approach to China will be scrutinized, particularly in light of the ongoing controversy surrounding TikTok, which has emerged as a flashpoint in U.S.-China relations. The Supreme Court's recent decision upholding a law forcing the app's divestiture has given Trump a platform to address broader concerns about national security and economic independence from China. This issue not only highlights the complexities of managing relations with Beijing, but also sets the stage for broader discussions about technology and trade, particularly in the wake of a burgeoning alliance between China and Russia. The Middle East remains another critical theater for Trump's foreign policy ambitions. The potential for a renewed peace process following the Abraham Accords hangs in the balance as Trump contemplates further engagement with Saudi Arabia and other Arab states. However, this ambition may be complicated by internal and external pressures, including the dynamics of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict and Iran's regional influence. As the Trump administration steps into its new term, the interplay of these global challenges will demand a delicate balance of assertive diplomacy and strategic engagement. The risk of miscalculations looms large, particularly with the overlapping roles of special envoys and traditional diplomatic channels potentially creating confusion about U.S. priorities abroad. Critics have already raised concerns about the possibility of a diplomatic mess resulting from this fragmentation of authority as multiple individuals vie for influence in shaping U.S. foreign policy. Looking ahead, the Trump administration's handling of these multifaceted issues will likely define its legacy on the global stage. The choices made in these early months will not only impact immediate diplomatic relations, but could also set the trajectory for U.S. foreign policy for years to come. As Trump aims to navigate this intricate landscape, the imperative remains clear. Effective leadership will require a coherent strategy that aligns America's interests with the evolving dynamics of international relations. The way forward hinges on whether Trump can leverage the current geopolitical landscape to forge meaningful alliances while simultaneously addressing the complex challenges posed by adversaries both near and far.